vibrations. It's life.
All right, so we're here at Young Lions Jazz Conservatory. We're here with Christopher Holliday and Gilbert Castellaños. So, maestros, thanks for being here, and it's an honor to talk to you guys.
Thank you,
Happy
Lou.
New Year. Good to see you.
So,
And much props to you for what you're doing, man.
oh, thanks, man. I'm just trying to
You're my hero.
You guys are my heroes. I'm just trying to do something, through the quarantine, and honestly, it's kind of a cool way to just document the scene, honestly.
Yeah.
Sure.
Man.
So,
Well, even like for tonight, you have
yeah.
Nikon Zlatkovic. That's
yeah,
great,
that's
man.
gonna be great. Yeah, and these, these are just people that I see in San Diego. If you're watching, that's where we're at, and the Young Lions Jazz Conservatory. Check that out on the internet, and I'll put a little links and stuff. But you guys are doing a concert on Thursday for the Anthology Series number 2.
Yeah, that's number 2. That's right.
And that's the Cannonball Adderley tribute. So we're going to be doing that on the stream. So I figured we could get together and chat, and
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
So there's nothing really that I want to cover specifically. I mean, we could talk about the concert, but I just kind of wanted to chat with you guys because you guys are kind of, the people we all look up to here in San Diego. And it's nice to, we constantly hear you guys play, but it might be kind of cool just to hear you talk or something, just to kind of say whatever.
Are you sure you want that?
Right. This time of year.
I'm just kidding.
But why don't we start? Maybe we could talk about the Young Lions. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah, we're here at the conservatory. The program, I'm very proud of the program because we're going pretty strong and we're getting through COVID with our modifications of the room, as you can see.
Yeah, you can see kind of from my view.
Yeah, you
they
can
have.
see the vinyl shields that we have for the instrumentalists and vocalists, and then of course we have a bunch of fans that we put in the windows, and we have a very expensive air filter that we use, and
open all the windows up.
Yeah, we open up the windows. Everything's opened up, and we have hand sanitizing machines and bottles everywhere. So I'm just really proud of our students and instructors for kind of just taking care of business and continuing on and keeping the music alive.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's great you guys are doing this specifically, just in general, but then specifically through the pandemic is crucial, especially for the kids. I mean, I feel like they're cooped up.
Yeah, that's all they have.
Yeah.
Music is everything, and
Right.
and this is the only time they can come together and be together in person. Which is unheard of with any music program.
Yeah.
In the nation, if you think about it, you know.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, honestly, when I first heard about Young Lions, I was kind of jealous. Just oh man, that's so cool. Imagine I was just imagining if I was in, high school or middle school and you could go and take, go be in this class and, audition for it. That was just blow my mind.
Yeah, that would have been great for me too.
Right. I mean, yeah. Anyway,
Well,
you're right.
You have something
I had
like
a great high school program,
Yeah.
but I definitely would have signed up for this too.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That's how I learned to want to sign up for stuff like this. Is that I came from a great high school program,
And we're in
Norwood, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paul, Alberta.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
And what brought you out here to SD originally?
I came out and visited out here to do a concert at Ilario's, and it was March, and we were in the ocean, and I said, I looked out my window. They gave us this really nice penthouse honeymoon suite because they weren't using it, so they gave it to me. I remember opening up the drapes. Wow, San Diego's beautiful.
Right.
La Jolla is beautiful.
Right. Right.
And San Diego is beautiful.
And
And
then
then I said, I'm staying. It took me about 6 years to get back here, but I came back.
Yeah,
Moved out
I
here.
remember when I found out that you moved here. I was so excited.
Yeah, those were great
Yeah,
times. Those
man.
first sessions.
Yeah, I remember the first time Christopher came out to one of my sessions. It was at a place called Cafe Bravo, and then it turned into the Montiki Lounge. That's the first time you came out. It was
Was that the one with the upstairs and downstairs?
It was they were talking about Ole Madrid.
Ole Madrid.
That was before Ole.
Okay.
You came and
Yeah.
I think that was right when you moved into
And
town.
we did our thing.
Yeah, and it was just
We didn't
like,
have to say anything. Yeah.
Did you guys know each other beforehand or know of each other? Or?
I knew of Christopher.
Okay.
And I have a very funny story, but I won't share that story.
You
You
should.
know,
It's fun.
you know
It's
the
a great story. I heard it recently.
Well, I guess I'll tell you the story.
Well, I think Gilbert and I were at Berkeley together, but
Yeah.
we didn't know each other then.
Oh.
Yeah, he was in Bill Pierce's Art Blakey group, and I was in Herb Pomeroy's big band.
Yeah, I remember watching you carry your clarinet case around.
Yeah, my bass clarinet.
Yeah.
And I had my ski mask on. And if you remember what I looked like then, you know I hate the cold. I hate it. That's why I moved to San Diego. Wise move, I might say.
Nice. So what is this story? Can you
Oh yeah, so when I was in high school, I was in a program kind of similar to Young Lions.
Okay.
It was through the Monterey Jazz Festival.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It was called the Next Gen Orchestra. Where they picked like the top players in the nation to be a part of this big band. And at the time, Dizzy Gillespie was always the guest with the big band.
Oh.
So I got to play with Dizzy, 2-3 years in a row. But one year, Christopher was playing. He was like the headliner on the main stage with his group.
Okay.
Like he was the cat. He was like, And I remember I think it was a junior in high school, and I had my car, and I was driving. We were in Monterey. I was with my friend Janos, and it was pouring rain.
Yep.
And Christopher was walking down the street. And I was like, oh my God, that's Christopher Holliday. And I pulled over. I was like, hey man, you're Christopher Holliday, right? He's like, yeah. And I was like, do you need a ride somewhere? He's like, yeah, I'm looking for a place to get a haircut. And I was like, okay, we'll drop you off, man. We'll drop you off. And he was like, I'm gonna take care of you guys tonight. I'm gonna put you on the list. You're gonna come backstage and hang out. And we were like, yeah, we were all excited.
Whoa.
So the night concert comes and Christopher's playing and we're like all happy. We're walking backstage and we're like, we're on the list. And there's a big guy at the door. He's like, you're on the list? What? No, you're not on the list. And then I was like, I saw Christopher. I was like, Christopher. And he like looked and he turned the other way.
I just kept on walking.
So that's my story. I got this by Christopher Holliday.
Oh man.
What a way to future friends
But
and
I love
brothers.
this guy. I love this guy. Come on.
Hopefully I made up for it.
That's great.
My story about that performance is we played, it rained all the way up till we played.
Yeah, it rained that whole
It
weekend.
stopped raining for our set.
Uh-huh.
And when we finished our last note, went down, rain.
Oh wow.
Just boom. Not even just like, just boom, total rain. And
Well,
then
yeah.
Ernestine Anderson went on after me, and I felt bad for her.
Well, you had a killer band too. I remember your band.
Oh yeah, it was a great band, yeah.
Nice. What
An
year would
expensive
this
band,
be?
But a great band.
What year would
Band
that
on the
be?
road's expensive.
Oh, yeah,
Gilbert
I'm
and I have talked about that before. Yeah.
I can imagine. What year would that be roughly?
89.
Yeah, 89. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Was Larry Goldings playing there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 89. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because I was a senior in high school. Yeah, it's junior in high school. Junior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So 89, 90, but I think it was 89.
Yeah, it was one of those two.
Yeah.
I have photos. People have sent me photos, and I know what suit I'm wearing, and I know when I own that suit. I can see it in my head, but I don't know what year it is. But basically, it's probably around 89 or 90. Yeah.
You remember that suit? You're like,
I
yeah, I
remember the
remember
It's the
that.
suit he's wearing Thursday to the Cannonball
Yeah,
Adderley
it's the same suit.
concert.
I still fit in all those clothes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, just being here in SD and going to your jam and seeing, on Wednesdays at multiple places now, I guess, but and then seeing you guys play is kind of like the highlight of the week. How long you been doing that jam for? Like, because I remember,
Oh man,
when I think the first time I had gone or heard about it was when it was at the Onyx Room, but I had only gone like maybe once. I think I remember going down there and like, oh, whoa, and like seeing it and like, oh, this is kind of the vibe right here. And then you guys moved it. I don't even remember where next.
Oh yeah. So after Onyx, it was El Camino.
Oh, El Camino. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many years was it El Camino?
It was about, I want to say 4.
Yeah, long
Yeah,
time.
it lasted
Yeah.
a little bit. Onyx Room was 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Onyx lasted for 10 years.
Oh man, I feel like I missed. Yeah, that would have been cool to see.
Yeah.
Because the Onyx Room, just the whole vibe there was really cool.
It had a real jazz club vibe.
For sure.
It
Because
was
you walk downstairs.
downstairs,
Yeah.
it felt like New York to me.
It totally
man,
did.
had that-
And then in the back, were you guys in the back
we were
room?
in the back
yeah.
row. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good spot.
Yeah, I miss those days, man. And it was a Tuesday night. We used to do the jam on Tuesdays.
Okay.
And that's when Jazz Live would have their jazz,
Oh.
they would have Jazz Live once a month.
Okay.
And whoever was in town would come to the
Oh.
session.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we had everyone from, of course, Christopher would hang out there, but we had, Robbie Coltrane came in one
Wow.
night, Terrence Blanchard, Nicholas Payton, Benny Green. Like, we had all these heavyweights coming through, man, because they knew about the session.
Right.
Carl Allen, Jeff Hamilton. Like, we had all these people just rolling through
Man,
town.
that's great. And then I went to, was it $7,000?
El Camino and then $7,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I liked
It's hard
that
to keep
too
track.
because of the back
Oh, that's
that had
right,
the back
seven.
room too.
Yeah, the 7 Grand had a great vibe, and it was cool because we had like a sound man, which was rare for a jam session.
I forgot about that.
Someone running sound for you, and being able to hear everyone on stage with monitors, and I thought that was hip. You know.
Yeah, cool. For sure. Yeah, I mean, for those of you guys that don't know, here in SD, there's kind of a great scene, and Gilbert and Christopher. I was thinking of Joshua right now. And they kind of lead the way doing all this. So for me, going to the jams is kind of how I learned all that stuff. Hearing you guys play. I mean, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's how we learn.
I mean, it's in the tradition, right?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, can you guys maybe talk about that a little bit? Like, what does the jam session mean to you? And maybe back in the day when you used to go, I don't know, just anything that pops in your head.
Jam session was great for me. I grew up in Boston, and I grew up in the 80s when Boston had 6 or 7 a night week jazz clubs. Okay. And 3 or 4 Thursday, Friday, Saturday clubs where they had jazz those nights. So man, we had so much jazz, and there was the clubs were always packed in the 80s because people had money in the 80s, and guys would come up from New York because they could come up and make money when they weren't working. So everybody came up. I remember in '85, maybe it was, or '86, Johnny Griffin came to the 1369 Jazz Club, which is, I think it held like maybe 70 or 80 people. And I remember there was a big sign on the door, $30, which was a lot of money in the 80s.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was a lot of money. That's like almost like $60 now, I think. And I remember my dad looking at it, he said, "No way." And I was like, "Why?" And then he said, "Let's go see Bill Pierce over at such and such instead." Okay.
Wow.
So it was great to have those kind of options.
Yeah.
Last time I took Janet to Boston, we went to the Regatta Bar, and it was completely empty. There was nobody there.
What?
And we couldn't find live jazz there.
Wow.
We couldn't find live jazz in Boston we were there for 2 or 3 days in about, maybe 5 years ago.
Okay.
But the jam session to me was so important. You know, I went to the first one with my brother who plays trumpet back then, and he sat in, he introduced me, and the guy said, "Did you bring your horn?" "No." "Well, you make sure you come back with your horn next week." There was a lot of that. And I remember that being a very welcoming place at Wally's. I never wanted to play at Wally's because Wally's was the hard session. And I think every city has one of those sessions that's like the serious session and then the kind of, we just play blues session and take the A train. Yeah. And we had those, but I used to go to Wally's and watch, which I think was really important that I kept doing that. And they'd say, "Do you have your horn?" "No." "Where is it?" "It's out in the car." "Well, the only thing you better do is bring it in here because it's just going to get stolen out there." Right. "No, you're going to call like Inner Urge or one of those tunes if I get up there. I know you're going to do that to me." And the first time I played there, James Gates was playing. Did you play with James Gates there? You missed that? Just barely missed it, I think.
Yeah, I just missed him, yeah.
And James Gates, so I went up and played. I don't remember what tune. Oh, I Remember April is what we played the first time. And there was a guy at the end of the bar who had a gun. And there was 2 guys fighting, and one of the guys had a gun. So the guy that was running the session was down low, like, "Keep playing. Come on, keep playing. Don't stop. Keep playing." And I think I played like 16 choruses that night, the first night I was there. But, you know, the big thing is like seeing people, seeing tunes that I don't know, writing them down, and then having a goal for the week to go back the next week and I call the tune. Don't wait for it to be called again. I'm going to go in and I'm going to call the tune, you know, aggressively.
That you know they have
start playing it too.
Yeah, or just play it.
Right. Yeah. And then you know it's one that they've played, that it's on the list, the repertoire list.
Well, yeah. Or I'm going to call it on you guys. Right. Because I worked on it this week. Right. And I still do that. You see me writing stuff down all the time when I'm on stage. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of in a nutshell, like what's great about that kind of stuff is like, because I do that all the time still. Like, I gotta work on that one again, or they keep playing that one. Like I always hear Gil play that on Wednesday. Oh, okay, I'm gonna learn that one, or like So I feel, I see what you mean. Yeah, it's important too. Just like, I feel like that's so much part of the tradition too. Of like,
and that's how you learn. I mean, if you write it down, you learn it. But if you write the tunes down, I write down everybody's set. When I go see any music, I write down everything they play.
Oh, interesting.
Especially the ones. I think I'd do this a little different. I would do it like this. And, I'm definitely going to write that one down. Okay. This is some original idea of some kind.
I see what you mean.
That I don't have to do at my house. Yeah. You know, I can do it while I'm out.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
What about you, Gail? What about some? Do you have any like great jam session story? I mean, like from running your jams, or just something that sticks out?
Well, I mean, I'm in agreement with Christopher. I think it's an important thing to have in your life.
Right.
It's another form of school. It's something that you're not going to get in school.
Right.
Without a doubt. I mean, I was when I was at Berkeley in Boston, I was in the house band on Wednesday nights with Teodros Avery, great tenor player, Anthony Wanzi on piano, Richie Goods on bass, and John Lampkin on drums. And I mean, that was school for me right there.
Yeah.
It's like I was learning more Wednesday nights than I was during the week, because there was people like there was a trumpet player that was just a year or two older than me that was just unbelievable, and he would just blow my mind every week. He would come in and I would like take notes and record him. Waldron Ricks.
Don't know him. Didn't know him.
Yeah, and a Boston trumpet player. And, man, he was just like phenomenal. But as far as like jam sessions, to me it's just a form of school.
Yeah, for sure.
It really is, because that's where you're gonna like rub shoulders with the seasoned players and also with some of the beginner players.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you're gonna learn from both.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn from this kid that doesn't know any tunes to Christopher Holliday, who knows every tune from A to Z.
Right.
Because there's something to take home that night after a jam. It's like you're gonna like go home and say, well, I'm not gonna like approach the tune the way this kid did, how he came up and asked if he can play, and then he didn't even know the tune. If I'm going to call a tune, I'm going to make sure I know the tune.
And that's a valuable lesson, just something that simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, that's definitely even happened to me, just kind of crashing and burning, or maybe even having a success, like, oh, I finally did it. Like, that felt good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But even if you crash and burn, you learn something.
Yeah, for sure.
But you're not going to have that. Unfortunately, you're not going to have a class like that at school.
Right, and and you are gonna feel kind of bad, like you should, like if you crash and burn, like you don't feel good, like
it's a feeling that
you bombed, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
growing
it.
pains, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And it's something that's very valuable.
Right.
And it's just gonna make you a better musician.
And I see your students. I mean, when the young lions come and you see them, I'm like, oh, there's Gilbert's students. Like, you can hear them. It's like, it's great though, because they come up and it's like. And I tell, some of my students that I'm like, man, you guys got to go out to these sessions, and some of them don't even really know where they are.
Right.
And I'm like, that's my point. Like, you got to find these places.
Yeah.
And you're lucky here. Like I tell them, especially in San Diego, because you could, there's several spots you could go and find, pre-pandemic. But even now there is like some outside.
Come back. Yeah. Tuesday
That's like the first lesson. The first session. You go to it, you find out where it is, you get there late, but you're not set on playing, and that's how it. Oh, this is how it works.
That's a great point.
Now I know where to park, all that stuff, so you don't have to worry about that. But you have to check that off the list. You got to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You got to go
through. To do.
Yeah,
exactly.
You got to go through the motions.
Yeah,
for sure.
And a jam session is beyond that. It's really networking.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what I'm saying. They're not going to teach you this in school. It's how to network and meet other musicians. And take their numbers down, and so when you're ready to have a gig, I heard this guy at a jam, I want to hire this guy. And community. It's a community.
For sure.
And get along, because you're going to be playing with them for 20 years.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point. How to approach people, how to deal with people, how to deal with the music.
Yeah, it's like, it's time to have a business card. I need a business card now. And I'm sick of writing my number down on a piece of paper or a napkin.
And they can't read it.
And then I lose it.
I didn't even think about that. Wow, that's great. Yeah.
So it's like, it's like just another way of learning from a business standpoint too.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, how to run your business in a sense.
Back to the jam sessions, you were talking about writing tunes down.
Yeah.
Joshua White attended my Onyx Room jam sessions for years and never played.
Oh, interesting.
Like, he would sit in the back and he would write stuff down.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He had a little notebook. I remember this.
I could see that.
And then he knew exactly when we were playing our last tune of the set, and then I would start calling people up, because that's when he would get up and leave. He would leave before I even had a moment to like call him up, because he didn't want to play.
I see. He was studying.
Yeah.
He was doing his work.
And then when he was ready, man, boy, was he ready. It's like he just took the scene by storm. It's like. And
I used to write them down. They were temporary ideas. Like, I'm going to learn that tune this week. Go home and learn that tune. But during the week, I was still listening to a lot of music. So there was a lot of information going through my life and my brain, et cetera, on the phone with musicians, et cetera. And Joshua was the one who told me to start making lists. A list of tunes that you can call, and a a list of tunes that I want to learn that I don't know.
Okay.
Because that list is really long.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't have time to learn them all. You know, my grandmother said, just buy the books. You're gonna want to read them when you retire. I said, Grandma, I'm 20 years old, but she was retiring, so that's where her head was. But she's right. You know, I want to learn these 10 tunes. I don't have time to leave, but I have the list.
Yeah.
So now when I have gigs that come up, etc., then I say, that tune, I'll learn it this week. That'll
That's
be a good one
yeah.
for this gig. So at least I had the list of tunes that I like.
Yeah, that's a great
what
point.
albums I had heard them from, or where did I hear them play and stuff like that. Yeah, Joshua told me to make that list.
Yeah, and it's all related to even like what we're doing Thursday with the Cannonball Adderley tribute.
Right.
It's like, for me, it's a way of studying the music of that particular ensemble or writer or
Definitely.
composer, because you have to like really dive in and get deep in the music and
Listen to all the records.
and it's
Listen,
like
yeah.
you don't really, I mean, if you think about it, there's not a lot of combinations of trumpet and alto that I'm a huge fan of.
Okay.
I mean, personally, I mean,
Yeah.
I love, of course, you know, there's Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie.
Right.
It's like the holy
The
grail,
iconic, yeah.
Yeah, but then you have Kenny Dorham with KD. I mean, with Jackie McLean. I mean, that's a great combo. And then of course the Adderley brothers.
Yep.
That was an amazing front line.
Definitely.
There's so many sounds that they all get. They're
Yeah,
so different.
they're all unique.
really-
different palettes, different colors. You know.
Yeah.
Then you have like Dolphy and Booker Little. I mean, that was a unique sound too. What they were creating.
Yeah.
Lou Donaldson and Clifford Brown.
Yep. There
Yeah,
you go. Yeah.
right.
Lou Donaldson, Donald Byrd.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. So it's like a
I'm
way
laughing
of
at that slow drag thing with
Yeah.
Billy Higgins doing the talk.
Yeah.
what is that?
I love that take.
He
yeah.
does this. Donald Byrd recorded this tune called "Slow Drag," and Billy Higgins does this crazy guy talking. You got to check it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
It's
I'll check it out
hilarious.
for
It's funny and it's really good.
sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good music.
Cool. Nice. Well, you guys maybe want to address the concert since we kind of touched on it right now.
Yeah.
For Thursday.
7 p.m. and
Yeah.
and, this is really technically the third one. The first one was kind of
Oh, it
Jackpot.
scared me.
It's gonna be a good one.
I thought something fell.
jackpot. That's funny. Well, to me, I consider this the third one because the first one was the big
Right,
comeback
of
concert
course.
that we did, and I say we because it's now a tradition that Louis joins us for a tune.
Oh, great.
For every concert, so he always hops
Great.
on for a tune.
I like
and,
that.
And it's just been a great way to include him and you know, because people are like, oh yeah, he does great with video and audio, but yeah, you got to hear him play guitar because he's a beast. You know.
Well, it's my honor, man.
So, but yeah, Thursday, I'm extremely thrilled because this is the first time that Christopher and I have played a concert since before the pandemic.
Right.
Do you
hit.
know how many days it's been?
Well, I remember
365 days, March 11th.
Wow. Okay, there you
Oh,
go.
what?
Amazing, huh? Yep. Wednesday, March 11th was
Wow.
365 days.
Panama
to
66,
the
right?
nose. I'm thinking, is this some kind of joke or something?
Wow, I didn't even know.
What did I have to do? We could have avoided all this.
Oh, that just makes it even more perfect.
Oh yeah, it's going to be special. I mean, having Christopher there, and of course, you know, Joshua White, who transcribed all these tunes.
Yeah, so he chose like he's kind of the MD
He's like
in
the
a
MD
sense.
he picked all the tunes for the Horace Silver tribute.
Right.
And then the next concert that we're doing is the music of Holly Hoffman.
Holly Hoffman, right?
So he's already picking tunes for her that, you know, I like what you did on this album and I like what you
Wow,
like. So he's,
that guy just studies. He's
Yeah.
like the real deal.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we're so fortunate to have a Joshua White. in
Yeah,
studio.
I mean, honestly, I feel like he's kind of, to me, like when I see him, because I remember seeing him at State briefly, and then he dropped out, and I was like, oh, where did Joshua go? But you could just tell, like, I don't know, to me, it's just like he always seemed mysterious and like, oh, that guy's, who is that guy? And then I would see him at your jam and just like, oh man, this guy's on a whole nother level. So it's nice, and getting to see him and like interact with him a little more now.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I mean, and just to hear him play, and I've even seen him grow a little bit, just like where he's come from. So it's nice. I mean, yeah, I like to reiterate what you're saying. I feel like for San Diego, he's so important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I consider him like a pillar in the music community.
Right.
And the fact that he does so much behind the scenes, a lot of people don't realize it. You know, like he does all these transcriptions, and then we play all these arrangements, and he always comes up with these arrangements on the spot. Like, hey, let's try this, let's do this. Like,
Yeah.
even for like Christopher's
Ideas.
album, like, yeah, he's just constantly like.
I've seen that in real time, like at your jams, where it's like you could see him thinking or someone poses
Oh,
an
yeah.
idea
Sure.
or like, and you just run with
Well,
it.
that's one of the things I miss about Panama when we played as a quintet was the fact that we would, right before we would play the tune, Joshua would come up with an arrangement.
Right.
You would have to let him have a minute or
Yeah.
two, but then he
He
would
has to
come
have some
on.
silence.
Yeah, and then bam,
palate.
here it is.
Yeah, for sure. And he would sit there and like really think. You could hear him just like,
Yeah.
And then he'd say, "Okay," and he'd look at Rob and say, "You're gonna."
Yeah,
You're
and then
gonna
it
do
worked.
this.
It worked. You know?
Everybody's be quiet, and you're gonna do this, okay? Yeah.
yeah, like, that's
Yeah, the
exactly
whole
what.
thing's-
Yeah, and the way you guys approach some of those tunes just on the spot, it's so like freeing. It's so improvised, you know. It's so like
Refreshing.
it's
you know?
refreshing. Yeah, that's a good
for
word.
me it is because it's like I don't really get that from a lot of piano players.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I feel like that's a hard art to practice and get good at, and just the art of like being creative in the moment. I mean, which is what jazz I feel like is, you know.
yeah. I mean, exactly.
So it's cool, but it's definitely cool to like see it happen like on stage. Like, wow, like these guys are just, and then they play. You know, you guys are playing, you know, a standard, but it's just like not at all how you would have imagined.
Right.
It's
yeah.
like I love that stuff because it's so, it's refreshing, like you said. So, do you know, what kind of songs did he pick? Like from certain albums?
Oh,
or?
he picked a nice, just a nice broad range of different tunes from different time periods.
Yeah.
You know, like some 70s stuff, some early 60s stuff. I mean, some of the tunes we're doing, Lisa,
Okay.
which is by, I believe Victor Feldman wrote Lisa.
Okay.
You guys who are watching me on camera right now, you see me going like this. I got Big P in my head.
Oh yeah, Big P.
Big
that's,
P. That's a hard one to get out of your head.
That's
Okay.
a hard one to play.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Big P, Jimmy. It's a Jimmy Heat tune.
Okay.
And you know what? That's the thing about doing these anthology concerts, for me at least, is that I'll be a student of this music for the rest of my life.
Right.
I'm going to just constantly be learning and figuring stuff out. And the one thing that I noticed about this tribute that we're doing is that Cannonball really didn't write music. He didn't write a
Okay.
lot of music.
just that one that he introduced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, because
In,
Nat
Japan.
Adderley wrote a lot of tunes,
Yeah.
Right.
and Joe Zawinul wrote a bunch of them.
Yeah. And it's interesting to look at the composers on all that music.
Yeah,
Like that's what you're saying, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like, because I started to think about it, like, wow, Cannonball didn't really. What was
Nat
the name?
Adderley
What was
was the composer.
the tune that he wrote that we're playing?
Nippon.
Nippon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nippon Soul.
I think that's the only one that he wrote.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So it's
So-
kind of like the anthology. Like when you do these tributes, it's like a way of diving into the past and like what they were doing, their recordings. It's like you're studying it.
Yeah. But no one's studying it more than Joshua because he's the one. He's the one that's dissecting all of this stuff, man. And
Right.
and you look at his charts; they're like impeccable. You
Yeah,
know,
they're
it's
like perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what else is interesting is that Cannonball may or may not have been it was his quintet, or was it the Adderley Brothers quintet? How was it billed?
Both
back-
ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then, but he knew how to pick music, is what I'm about to
Oh,
say.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he knew how to pick great music for a
Good
set,
sets,
and
yeah.
even though he didn't write it, he knew that's a keeper.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Even if
Great.
it wasn't
All his records. Great.
it wasn't in their circle, you know. If it, let's do this Jimmy Heat tune.
Right.
I love this tune, Big P. You
Yeah.
know, and it's like I heard the original, man. It's like a big band version of it. Have you heard the original?
Oh, this is the Jimmy Heath big
Yeah.
band? Oh, wow.
Oh man, it's
I did.
it's on Riverside Records. See, this is the thing about the music. You know, you start exploring.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I was.
checking out
Yeah.
tunes,
For
and
sure.
for me, it's just like, man, this is so cool.
I think I heard the arrangement, but not the original one. This is before the 70s, back in the 50s.
No, this is
60s.
like late 50s.
Yeah, I didn't hear that, but I heard the
Oh,
arrangement.
man.
Yeah.
It's burning.
It was recent, yeah.
Oh,
It's a lot slower.
Really nice. Yeah. Well, he
Yeah.
wrote great big band arrangements, man.
It's about right there, yeah.
Man, it's so interesting to see how like the recording era technology like just intertwined perfectly with the jazz era. Like thank God.
Yeah,
Because
right.
all that stuff would have been like, I mean, it's interesting to hear like these Art Tatum recordings. Like who's the guy in the back with the microphone? Like
Exactly.
I would have
yeah.
loved to like see who is that guy? Like who is it? Or even just, the fact that recording, the technology just enabled all this to be documented. I mean, can you imagine if it was like a classical thing where you couldn't even hear?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Well, that's what it was like in the beginning for jazz artists. You had to go to the club and see Lester Young play that tune again so you could get that lick again. And then you had to take it home, and then you had to practice it the next day or that night or however you're going to do it. But you didn't have a tape recorder like you do now, and you couldn't just download it and listen to it and slow it down.
A lot of lifting the needle.
Yeah.
Even if you had a copy of it on your record player. You know?
Yep.
Yeah, I found that so interesting. Like, it's, man, good thing too, because I mean, the basket's so deep of all these recordings. Like, you're still finding new stuff. I mean, even now with the internet, you can find all these bootlegs and like just crazy versions of stuff.
Yeah, but now it's beyond audio; it's video.
Right.
Like for example, the Jackie McLean video that I just discovered it.
Which one?
Somebody
on
just,
Mars. The Mars? Oh, the one you sent me.
Yeah. Someone just uploaded this that recorded them on a little held.
Yeah. See, that's
movie
so
camera.
yeah.
And now it's like the entire concert, and it's Jackie's sextet from like the early '90s.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's like smoking, man. And I'm like, where did this come from?
Right.
You know,
just uploaded a few days ago or something. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, I wish hopefully there's more material like that.
I have some of those tapes, personal tapes that I got from the Vanguard. When I went to see the Vanguard.
I'd love to hear that stuff.
And I can still remember it. It was as hitting as that. It was so intense. It's just swinging, intense, hitting, intense. The ballads were intense.
Right.
So beautiful, but just amazing. This aura of Jackie and what was going on on that stage, and with the band.
Wow.
I mean, he was totally. You could tell they had talked about everything, and he had made sure that they all knew. Talked about everything.
Okay.
It was swinging.
So, sorry, go.
No, I was just gonna say it's kind of come full circle because look what Louie's doing right now.
Right.
With these live streams.
I mean, dude,
you're like heavily connected to what we're talking about.
Well, I mean,
you're a huge like component.
Well, cool. Thanks, man. I mean, honestly, since like since Nina died, rest in peace. I was thinking like, man, we got to document all these people we know. Like, I just like, if nothing else, that's kind of in my head. That's what I'm doing. If nothing else, it's like, well, at least that's why I'm trying to get all sorts of people. Yeah. So, and then having you guys here is, to me, it's special because I'm into this music. I study it. I like it. So to me, it's like, it's more of like the jazz side is cool. And I see you guys all the time and like go into the sessions and everyone else, not just you guys. Like when I'm about to talk to Peter Sprague and just,
I love Peter.
Yeah. And he's like my spirit animal because he's doing the same. He's been doing this for years though.
Yeah,
he's been on YouTube. So, but just to be able to kind of put SD on the map, just somewhat, just so you could find it. Like, oh wow, look at all these. Wow, I didn't know. Oh wow, like what I mean. It's cool to. I don't know. I think that's kind of, for me, that's what I'm trying to do. But
when I said about that, I took Janet to Boston in New York. And we had a hard time finding live jazz in Boston compared to what it used to be. And I remember thinking in Boston, man, San Diego's got a lot more jazz than Boston has. Certainly that year we had 5 clubs at one point when 98 Bottles was around.
Yeah, man,
that was a great time to be a student of the music because you had so much to choose from. Exactly what I said about me in the 80s in Boston. Just so much to choose from.
Yeah.
So Christopher, how long were you in New York? What can you
about
maybe
4
talk?
Years.
How was that? You maybe talk a little bit about that?
Sure, it was fantastic. And the first thing that goes through my mind is that when you go to New York, get out of your apartment and go see the music. Because I had a lot of friends that just, they just kind of hung out. And, I'm going to go out. And I tried to go out every night in New York, which is obviously impossible. You can't go out every night. But I tried to go out. It's expensive. There's the whole game of trying to, meet the doorman and all that. I was never good at that. I never could really play that game. So I just went out as I could and just paid to get in and had beans and pork and beans instead, But it was great. I lived, the Marlton House, which is where I originally stayed, was equidistant from Bradley's, the Vanguard, the Blue Note, maybe 6 clubs. The supper club that Lou Donaldson used to play at. So man, you couldn't get a better place on the 8th Street and the 5th Avenue, which was up by the new school, which is where I went to school when I was there.
Oh, okay.
And God bless them, they got me to New York. Yeah, and it was great. I saw everybody. I saw Walter Davis Jr. play solo piano, and I brought a date there. And I remember when I went in, and he told me with his eyes, he's like, "What are you doing, man?" But I went and we sat right there in front of him. He just looked at me. "What are you doing, man?" And I think it was the only date I ever had in New York, by the way. That's hard to get a date in New York. And it was funny. He played Straighten Up and Fly Right. And I love that place, man. I used to love going there and just seeing all the music. It was fantastic. Oh, one time I got a great story. Lou Donaldson was playing at the Supper Club, and I was just right on him, trying to help him and talk to him and all the way. So I walked him to his car, and where he says, "Well, I take a left here." So I said, "Oh, I can go a left here because it's a grid, right, New York." And so he said, "Well, I got to take a right here. Okay, I can go that way." And then he says, "Well, this is my car." I said, "This is my house." He parked right in front of my house.
No
Hilarious.
way.
Funny story.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, it was great to have that. And Augie's was like Wally's. That was the place where or the young guys played.
Okay.
And that was Larry Golding's and Peter Bernstein and Bill Stewart's gig. And man, with so many of the great musicians of our time now were there when we were 18. Chris Potter and Joel
Roy.
Fromm.
Wasn't Roy hanging out there a lot?
Was he in New York?
I'm not sure.
I didn't see him there, but I saw him in Boston. And then I think he was on the road right from there. So, but everybody was there, and Brad was there. Brad Meldau was there a lot.
Crazy.
It was just great to just kind of hang out and get all that, to hear all that from all those great players your age, and it was great. Steve Wilson came in and sat in one time, so it was a great time for me to be in New York in '88 to '92.
Okay.
So crime was not good at that time. It got better after that, but it was a great 4 years for me.
Nice. Beautiful. Seems like you learned a lot from it.
Well, I remember going past the Vanguard at the last year, and I got to do my laundry because I was going out on the road. We were flying at that point. We hadn't bought the van yet. And I remember thinking at that time I had eventually stopped going out because I got busy. And I thought, man, what am I doing here? Because I'm only here for like 2 days a week. Why am I in New York still? So that's when I moved back to Boston and got out of there because everybody was getting hurt. Everybody was getting mugged and stuff like that. Yeah, it was bad.
So you realized you were on tour so much, or just playing, you weren't even really in the city.
Right. I would get the cab from LaGuardia to this thing, and then I'd walk back down here, and I'd do my laundry, and then the next day, I'd be tired. The next day, we'd go back out again.
Right.
And I realized I wasn't really going there, so that was kind of like my my tip to get out.
Right. So that was your cue.
Yeah, my cue was that my friends were getting mugged. That was my cue.
Okay.
But
Clear message.
Yeah.
A very clear message.
Yeah, it was very clear. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, guys, I know you guys have a rehearsal coming up.
Do we?
I've been waiting for this for a year. You betcha.
So that's wild that it's the same day. That's great.
Yeah, it's amazing, huh?
Wow. Yeah, that's
Wednesday the 11th.
Well, so we're doing the Cannonball tribute this Thursday, March 11th, right?
Yeah,
Thursday
March
this year.
Yeah, featuring Christopher Holliday, Joshua White, Tyler Crutel, my favorite drummer to play with.
Yeah, he's great.
And young gun, we got 16-year-old
John
Murray.
Yeah, John's amazing, man. It's a great band, and Tyler Crutel is a wonderful drummer and a very funny dude. Oh, speaking of the devil, there's John right there. Well,
there he is.
Yeah, I don't care what Christopher Holliday says about John. I like him. Hey, John, how you doing?
Well, thank you guys. I think that'll maybe wrap it up for us. So
all right,
I look forward to seeing you guys
Tune in on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yep, see you Thursday.
All right, guys. And we'll see you next time. Check out the stream, and you guys can find more of the other concerts. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Support everything Louis Valenzuela does, please.
Thanks, Gil. Likewise. And we'll see you guys soon. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A jive symphonic funk of off-tone melodies and open-tone vibrations. It's life.